Okay, I have to talk about an extremely strange lucid dream I just had. Okay, it's about 6:30 in the morning. I just woke up and it was incredibly scary. It didn't start off scary, but ended up being almost terrifying. I was at a nightclub and there was like a bar there or whatever, and I was talking to some kid I remember in high school, and I didn't have any money on me at the time, but I did have money on me, and he was offering to pay for some food because I was like trying to get somewhere, but I rejected it because I had money on me. I was like, no thanks. And all of a sudden some kid looks weird, like he's gonna do something, runs to the back of the nightclub, like between like, goes past about like 100 people or whatever, and I'm like, okay, something's about to happen. And all of a sudden you hear a loud gunshot, and a lot of people run towards it, and then a lot of people start running out, and next thing you know, we're all running out, and I go outside, and then the next thing you see is like people are running everywhere and running out, and there's like, I'm outside or whatever, and there's columns, and there's like concrete or whatever, and there's like at least a dozen cops, and one of the cops sees someone and shoots at them who's running around the corner, and just misses. And so we're all like just like walking around, a few of us that like didn't manage to run away. And all of a sudden I start remembering that, like getting the feeling like I've seen this in another dream before. Like it's a reoccurring dream of some sort that happened once maybe. So I go up to a lady police officer and I tell her, like, I approach her and she's just standing there, and I say, you're never gonna believe this. This might be like the strangest thing you ever heard, and I know you're gonna laugh. And I said, but I have to tell you anyway, and I know you're not gonna believe me. And she says, okay. And then I start telling her, and at that point she goes like this, and calls for backup or whatever they normally do, which I didn't think was unusual. But I thought, okay, now she's taking this a little too serious. So I thought that came to mind. And I told her, I was like, now, I 100% know I dreamed this before. And I 100% know that this right now is a dream. And what's going to happen is, in about 15 minutes to 30 minutes, there's going to be a bomb set up over in that corner over there, and it's going to divert the criminal, and then he's going to be shot right over there. And at that point, a second officer shows up, and I start to repeat the same story to him. And I start off by telling him, okay, I know you're not going to believe this because, like I told her, it's completely crazy. And then at that point, a third person shows up. And he shows up, I don't see him. But all of a sudden, my head is like in a vice. Like in a vice grip of some sort. And all of a sudden, I feel like pressure. Like, not pressure, but like a drilling, but no pain. And like right here on my head. And I thought, this is unusual. They're tagging me. I mean, usually they would just like restrain me of some sort, and as that's going on, as soon as it starts happening, I start hearing like a loud noise. It sounded like and it get louder and louder, Except it didn't sound like that. It sounded like it was like whale sounds, like whale noises in the ocean, like going louder and louder. It was real creepy. At that point, I was like, well, this sounds like some like Sigourney Weaver alien shit right here. Like, just really strange. And I managed, I couldn't like turn my head much, but I did manage to look enough to the left to see that third guy standing right there on like to my left. And he did not, he just looked strange. He looked like the dude, the butler out of the, on the Addams Family, like the tall guy. He just like did not look completely human or whatever. Like he just completely stood out completely. But I'm pretty sure he still had a uniform on. And then like that happened for like 10 or 15 seconds, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? You know, blah blah blah. And I couldn't hear what the cop lady said, but she's like, oh blah blah. It sounded like she was saying, well, this is what happens, you know. And then I woke up like 15 seconds later and just like, yeah, it was really creepy. Anyway, I thought that was worth putting on film. That was a very strange lucid dream. And I didn't realize it was lucid dreaming until like after the shooting happened and I was outside the club.